Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Network Science's Day 4, Session 2 of the DeepTech Innovation Week. I'm the CEO of Network Science. I'm incredibly proud that we've conducted 11 sessions over the last 3 days and a session just before this. They have been incredibly well received by our audience, and I would also like to thank for the interactivity that we've had from each of the audience members. We've run polls. We've also, of course, opened the Q&A, and we've answered those towards the end of the session. I would also request the same from all the attendees today. Before we get started on a very, very interesting topic, I would like to just place the context on network science. Awesome. So as I mentioned, we've ran multiple sessions. We are in the penultimate session of our Deep Tech Innovation Week. We are going to focus on artificial intelligence-led nudge-based platform, specifically focused on field sales. We just saw a session before this which focused on B2B sales. We are now focused on B2C and field sales representatives in various geographies. So we will be conducting this through WorkZogo. But before that, I wanted to set the context on this as far as this session is concerned. We've all obviously heard or used Apple Watch, and we've also looked at how it basically helps us to identify where we are in our journey for that day, whether it is move, exercise, stand, and it obviously it provides a report to us on a live basis. And towards the end, it also tells us whether we are on track to meet the daily numbers or the monthly numbers with regard whatever targets that we have set. So this is with regards to an individual wearing something which nudges us to move forward and take that extra step. The same thing we have seen in the retail industry. There was a study which was conducted in the UK, which looked at a retail store and saw that before the intervention or before the nudge, there were a particular way the products were sold, and as soon as the intervention was done, then the shift happened towards the kind of nudge that was provided. Very, very interesting theory, implementation of the nudge theory. Now, the question that we had to ask was, can this also be delivered, this nudge theory can also be implemented in an environment which is field sales, people on the field? Just in the UK, 18 months back study, we've had close to about 164,000 people running on the field doing sales roles. It could be collectors, it could be cash collectors, it could be van salespersons, it could be many of the other related occupations. So can really deep tech AI make a difference, or nudge make a difference in the field sales? Was the big question that I had. I reached out to Ramesh, who's the founder and CEO of WorkZogo, a veteran in this industry, who founded WorkZogo in 2015, which is basically helping organizations unlock the productivity of their employees, largely on the field, using a combination of behavioral design and AI. Very, very innovative platform. Want to present it to all of you today. Before we do that, before I hand over to Ramesh, however, I want our team to quickly run a poll and take a quick reaction from all of you today. So may I have the poll, please? So this is for the audience. The poll would have flashed on your screen. Maybe we can get a quick reaction from all of you. Unfortunately, as a panelist, I can't answer this question, but possibly most of you would have realized what my answer would be. Okay, fantastic. You've got good numbers who have responded already. We'll wait for just last 10 more seconds for everyone to finish providing your responses. Okay, I'm going to stop the poll since you've got maximum responses. Maybe we'll share the results as well for all of you to have a look at this. And Ramesh, may I invite you now and look at this, look at the results, look at what we have got, and maybe give a quick reaction, and then help everyone understand how you could help people achieve larger productivity.
Sure. Thanks, Sandy. Thanks. Actually, I belong to the majority on both the questions, I must say. So it's pretty much in line with what I do as well. So morning, afternoon, evening, everyone, depending on where each of you are. I'm Ramesh. I'm co-founder of WorkZovo. And I'll spend the next about 20-25 minutes walking through what our product does. And like Sandy actually put it very well earlier, we use this behavioral science concept of a nudge, but we use it in a very interesting way. So we are a company that's actually a behavioral science company that uses technology basically to increase performance of salespeople in either sales or in operations. And fundamentally, it's about saying, how do we help people perform better? Not how do we replace people, but how do we help people perform better through a combination of behavioral science and AI that I'll kind of walk through over the next 15-20 minutes or so. As a company, we basically sell to large enterprises. Our users are salespeople or operations people in large companies. There are about 80,000 of them, about across 60 deployments currently. And we get between 8 and 25% increase in sales output. So all of this behavioral science actually results in significant increase in an outcome itself. So what really is the context of why we developed this? What is that we did? And what's the reason that this actually works is where I'll try and set the context. So if you look at the context quite clearly, more than, I guess it's accelerated in the last couple of years, the last 1.5 years because of the pandemic, but it's been on the anvil for a while that the future work is pretty much a combination of digital as well as physical presence as well. And it's obviously accelerated during the course of this time. So this much is becoming very clear that this is the future and this is where it's really going to head, which really means that while you have a physical world where people are used to going into an office, physically going and meeting people, and also doing completely through digital without the connect, there's a gap between the two. And in order for both to be effective, what is going to definitely emerge is a new category of products. And this category of products is what you could call a digital coach. Right? We are used to managers in the physical world, but that's a concept that's fast dying out because people don't want to be managed. They want to be coached. They want to be mentored because thanks to the fact that now information is democratized, everyone has information. I mean, earlier the manager had more information than the salesperson on the field. Today it's vice versa. It's pretty much equal. And because of the democratization of information, you don't really need, there's not a need for people to get managed, but there is a need for them to get coached in order for them to do better. And that is where there is a product that can really fit in, because what it does is not replace a manager, because a manager does come with a lot of experience and their own method of mentoring and coaching people. But what is really required is for a category of products that we could now call digital coaches. And a digital coach goes beyond just giving information. So if I'm a salesperson, I get enough information. I mean, I have plenty of sources of information. So that's not my need. My need is really three things. Number one, how do I use that information? Number two, how do I take action based on that information? And third, how do I perform better in terms of motivating myself to do better? So those are really the three things that are needed. And true, managers can do part of it, but we believe that you can use digital technology and behavior science as a combination to provide a digital coach for people in order to do that better. Now, if I go back to the poll that we put at the beginning, let's take a look at that, right? The vast majority, like me, actually said, we pretty much know what to do. We are not happy with our fitness levels. We pretty much know what to do, but the difficulty is actually getting us to do it, right? And it's the same in work. So if you think about the fitness example, most of us, I think, have a basic or a good idea of what it is we need to do, whether it's diet, exercise, sleep, reducing stress, getting into yoga, meditation, whatever else. Most of us have enough knowledge about what to do. So it's not that we don't do those activities because of ignorance. We know enough. What is difficult is to translate that, and that knowledge, we also have an intention to do it, right? All of us really want to get fitter. Beginning of the year in particular, we all have these resolutions that come up and we want to do it. So intention is not a lack of intention. There's not a lack of knowledge either. What is really required is to translate that intention to action. How do you get across that gap between saying, I want to do it, or I need to get up early enough in the morning and make sure I set aside that, 45 minutes, 1 hour in order to do my run, walk, yoga, whatever else it is. How do you actually do that action is the critical part. And that's where the concept of the nudge comes in. So there are, in behavioral science, a lot of ways to nudge people into actually doing it, not coercing you into doing it, not forcing someone doing it, but nudging you to motivate yourself to do it. And that has proven extremely successful over a period of time. So essentially what we've developed is a digital coach that does precisely that in a professional context. So for salespeople, situation is not very different. They pretty much know what to do. They have enough information on what to do. The difficulty is being able to do it on a day-to-day basis consistently. So it requires a few things. Number one, it obviously requires it to be personalized, because what motivates me to take a particular set of actions is very different from what motivates a set of colleagues to do it. Second, it needs to be able to prioritize it for me and make it easy for me to, and tell me, listen, this is what you focus on today. Tomorrow, I'll tell you what else to do. Third, it needs to find a way to motivate me to actually take action that I'll voluntarily do, right? Whether that is because I want to, let's say, earn a greater incentive, or I may want to do better than my colleagues and peers, or I may want to beat what I did last month or last quarter. Each of us has different motivations. So if you're able to find out what makes every individual tick and trigger that motivation through a nudge, then chances are I'll really do that. Importantly, it also has to align with whatever my hierarchy, organizational objectives are, because it has to be consistent with what the hierarchy wants. So it needs to make sure that it's in line with what is that. And as a result, over a period of time, get me to consistently drive actions that help my own performance and therefore get me to deliver greater results. So that's really the science behind this nudge. This concept, some of you will probably know, is a Nobel Prize winning concept. And there's a book called The Nudge written by Richard Thaler, and he's one of those who popularized the concept quite a lot. He won the Nobel Prize for behavioral economics in 2018, but a lot of the groundwork before that was done by Daniel Kahneman, who again won the Nobel Prize for behavioral economics in 2002. So this is a Nobel Prize winning concept saying, people know what to do, but if you're able to nudge them into at the right time, in the right way, chances are they'll take action. So that's essentially what we provide. Most tech products in the sales space, or all tech products in the sales space, concentrate on providing more information, better information, more analytics. It's all about information. What we do is saying, how can you use that information to translate it into actual action? So we've conducted, obviously, over the 60 odd deployments, 80,000 users, large number of A/B tests to validate that this actually works. So we take two groups, deploy this in one group, don't deploy it in another, wait for a quarter and see the difference in results. And the results difference is quite significant, as you can see out here, which is the reason why more and more companies are beginning to adopt this, because, like I said, there's a surfeit of products that focus on giving more data, better data. There's nothing today that focuses on saying, How do you motivate people to take action? Because it's only action at the end that delivers the result. I mean, the intention, the data can only do so much. Somebody has to use all of that to take action. And so this category of products, therefore, has built up significant traction, and we've kind of grown very quickly over this period of time. It's a mobile-enabled product. It's a SaaS product, cloud-based. Another product where they need to enter more data. So the user does not enter any data in this product. It's a coach. So the product tells the user what, or suggests to them what they need to do, or coaches them over a period, but doesn't ask them to enter any transactions, any data. This is a product that's complementary to CRMs or Salesforce automation products in any company. It does not replace any existing technology. It's complementary to it. In fact, we call it a force multiplier because it kind of multiplies the impact that an existing CRM has by taking the data that it provides or the analytics that it provides and ensuring that users take action based on that data. As a result, we are able to go live very quickly within a 4-week period, and it works across a whole set of devices. Right? So that's the concept that's in there. How do we translate that concept, or what does this nudge really look like when it comes to me as a user? Right, I'm a salesperson out in the field. What does this nudge really look like? I'll start with what it looks like in physical interaction, and then look at saying how do we translate that therefore into a digital interaction, and then how do we translate it into a hybrid interaction between the two. So if I take an example of, let's say, a typical, now most sales people are under pressure. Every month they're under pressure because their numbers seem to keep going up, and sales is a difficult job. Whether we like it or not, it's a tough job. There are multiple ways by which salespeople are typically pushed into achieving their numbers, right? And the standard typical way is to push them harder, get a little aggressive with them, and get them to and kind of push them into saying, month on month, you need to deliver. But there are many ways. One is to be directive and say, listen, you better hit your number because you're short of your number. But there are ways by which you can coach them in terms of saying, what would happen if you're able to motivate them to meet that number, right? And if you're able to personalize it. So the same salesperson, the same sales manager can do it in a slightly different way. Rather than just say, I want you to hit your number, I don't care how you do it. There is, number one, the coaching in terms of saying, how can, so-and-so, David in this case, how can David coach the sales guy into getting that number? One is to say, do so many more calls, you're likely to hit it. And if you hit it, what happens? You're likely to be top of your team. So if you notice, David has done two things. Number one is he's also been able to communicate what I should do in order to do better. But second, also tell me what I gain if I do that better. This obviously has a bigger impact because I come out saying, yeah, okay, I can aim for something because I get something at the end of the day and I know how to go about doing it. So chances are I'm going to execute that a great deal better. This is what happens in the physical world. What we actually do is to replicate a similar system on a day-to-day basis through digital means, and that's what we do. So I'll take an example of what we call a nudge journey, right, which is a month. And talk to any salesperson, they'll say for them, a month is equivalent to a year because kind of life begins at the beginning of the month, ends at the end of the month. Next month is a fresh month to begin, right? So if you take a period of a month, I'll take an example of a salesperson called Amy, right? How do you get Amy to really move? What a product does is figure out over a period of time, what is the behavioral pattern of Amy? That is, what are the things that Amy gets motivated by? And this, it learns because it sent Amy in the past different types of nudges and then learned which types of nudges Amy responds to and which ones don't have an impact or she's neutral towards. So it's kind of understood, loosely speaking, Amy's personality, if you want to call it that. She's figured out saying, okay, these are the kind of things that Amy prefers and will respond to and therefore act on. So if my objective at the beginning of the month, and I've also, meaning the engine's figured out, our nudge coach has figured out saying, Amy tends to start a little late in the month. So she's a late starter. So one of the things we can do is to get her to start early, because you start early, you kind of do better over a period. And Amy responds to 4 kinds of different behavioral patterns. One is she responds to what is called social proof. Social proof is Amy doesn't want to be left behind her peers. So she wants to make sure that she's at least on par, if not ahead of peers. She also responds to an appropriate challenge, which is saying, if you give her a target that she thinks is achievable in the short term, she'll really go for it. But if it's a target that seems way out of whack, she won't even try. So the trick here is to break down a monthly target into smaller bits and say, these few days of this week, is this something that you can hit? And Amy really goes for it. And Amy does have a need for being appreciated for good work that's been done. And also she looks at what's called a peak and rule. It's essentially saying, what have I done earlier, and can I beat what I've done earlier, right? What is my peak or my best, and can I beat my best? So it's figured out that these are the things that she really responds to over a period of time. So how does it use that information on a particular metric? And let's say it's a sales number, for example, right? How does it use that over a course of a month is what I'll walk you through. Obviously, Amy has a number of different KPIs and metrics. I'll take one of those, and every day she gets nudges on different ones, but we'll try and track and see. As a nudge coach, the nudge coach now knows Amy well. It knows what is the metric it needs to push Amy on. And it's figured saying, listen, start getting Amy to move early because she tends to start a little late. So early in the month, which is let's say day 3, it does what is called priming, which is saying, how can you get her to kind of begin to take action? And if you go to our fitness thing, it's about the same, right? You say, okay, you can't get up at 6, but why don't you try getting up at 6:30? You don't have to do it for an hour. Let's start with half an hour or so and then gradually build up as you. It's priming you for action over a period of time. So it pretty much does that on day 3. And the nudge is on the mobile screen on the left, right? So you can quickly correlate those two. And then it looks at saying, what is the impact that it's had on Amy over a period? And clearly over this period, she's made a start, but still not good enough. So it figures that out and says, okay, we've got her to at least start better than earlier. She's still behind where she needs to be. This is the time to get her to kind of really kick off. And in order to do that, let's do 2 things. Number 1, break down her target into a smaller, more manageable target for the next few days, and tell her where she stands with respect to her peers, right? Which is the social proof one, which is what it does on the left, saying your team's got ahead, you do so much more and you will catch up. Then it tracks what Amy's been doing over the next 3 days and says, yeah, this is not bad because she's reached or she's close enough to what she's done in the past. So can you get her early on to beat what she's done earlier? Because then she'll obviously finish better than where she's finished earlier. So it's tracked that and said, let's try and use that previous best or that peak and rule in order to push her at this time. So it pushes her on that day. And she does it, right? She makes a good start. She crosses what it's been there. Once she's crossed her previous best, the next step is to appreciate or acknowledge what she's done. And then give her another short-term target that she can aim for over the next few days, which is a bit of a stretch target. And given that stretch target, it then monitors how she's been moving towards that stretch target over 18th, and then pushes in to say, use the other part for Amy, which is saying, what does she contribute to the team? So far, it's all about her, but what does she contribute to the team? And then it brings that factor in saying, you're doing a great job. You've also been able to contribute so much more to the team. But if you do so much extra, your team will be the best. And that's thanks to you, which is what she then does. And then there's an acknowledgement of her achievement that's there. So this is for a particular behavior pattern that Amy has. Another salesperson may have some other pattern, which it's then able to track over a period. And this is what it works through, not as an individual one-off kind of a trigger. So in some sense, if I were to go back to fitness, if let's say I have a goal that says I need to reduce X kgs over the next 3 months, for example, that's my goal, right? And that's the primary thing that I'm looking at. All the rest that I do, whether it's exercise, nutrition, diet, sleep pattern, etc., are all geared up towards doing that. So if you're able to monitor each one of these and course correct as you go along over the period to make sure that you're on track, and if you're not, push you a little harder, that's exactly what the nudge coach does over this period of time. There are a lot of interesting insights that come. And like I said, we have 80,000 users. We've had them over a period of quite a few years. So as a result, our platform gathers a tremendous amount of data. We gather about 1 million behavior instances a week. So we've got a tremendous amount of data that we gather. And analysis of that data shows some very interesting insights for salespeople. One I already spoke about for Amy, right? It says that people who are typically high performers are not just rock stars because they do brilliantly, but because of two things. Number one, they start early and they're consistent. That's one of the big things that leads to greater performance. Second, if you can get someone to commit at a point of time saying, okay, I'll push and do so much better, it works wonders. It can lead to up to a 20% greater difference in performance. Also, just like athletes, salespeople are also pretty much similar. You give them a milestone or a target, they speed up towards that target. So the trick is, how do you adjust that target during the course of a month in order to get them to really move towards that faster? So that's a quick view of what our product is, what it does, and what that nudge journey looks like. What I will do is to walk you very quickly through a product demo that shows how all of this actually works. I'll show you a desktop version. It works in a mobile-enabled version as well. And time permitting, I'll show you for a salesperson as well as the manager, but I'll start off with the salesperson. So just give me a minute while I share the screen. Yeah, if you can see my screen now. So this is where our product is. And like I said, when you open up the product, I basically get a lot of these coaching messages that are in it. So Nudge Coach has thrown this up at me that says, you made a great start, do this, you'll get there. So these are the different nudge messages that I get during the course of the entire month that's there. And this depends on how I'm doing at that point of time, what it thinks I should really move and target towards, and so on. So you will find there are different types of nudges that come in, and the intent of each one of these is a little different. Some of them will compare me with my peers. Some of them will tell me how I've done versus what I've done in the past. Some of them will tell me how I'm moving against my target, and so on. So each of those is a different context. So if you look at that context, I need to find out saying, why is it telling me I need so much more? If I go to more info, it will tell me why. It will tell me saying, listen, this is where you are on all your different metrics or all your different numbers. So you're on green or doing well on some. You're on red, which is just not doing well enough, and orange, you're tracking reasonably on some of these. So I get an idea of what is my performance context in which I'm getting each one of these. Why is it that in this case, I'm doing well. In this case, I'm actually doing pretty bad, average. And in this, I'm actually doing pretty badly, right? So each one of these metrics, it gives me the context and it selects saying which is the one I should focus on that day. So this is one set of nudges that focus on how I'm doing. Another set of nudges may focus on telling me how I'm doing with respect to my peers or my colleagues, right? In this case, and I spoke about social proof at that time. So one of the things it will do is to say, how do I compare with others? So here's social proof. It tells me I'm number 3 versus some of the others who are in there. So I know what I really need to do in order to catch up with some of those. In other cases, it may well be looking at saying, what is it that I can get if I get something done? So these could be based on certain automated rewards that can be built into the system. So there's some degree of gamification that's built in here as well. But depending on each of the metrics, you can set thresholds and it will trigger off automated recognition for me. So it triggers off these recognition depending on what I've done on each one of these. And there's some that I've achieved this month, some that I've yet to achieve, and so on. But these are ones that I'm clearly aspiring towards getting. So you will notice that what actually the Nudge Coach does is, number one, it looks at where I am on a daily basis. What can it suggest to me to do as of today? What will I get if I do that? And what context why is it telling me that? Is it telling me because I've not done as well as in the past? Peers are doing better than me. I need to hit a target. What is it that I can do? And in addition, it can also point me to any information that will help me do better, which is like micro learning, right? It's not really a learning platform, but a micro learning that points me into saying, listen, this area you haven't done well, but here's a quick video that you can take a look at to help you build up that skill in order to do this better. So that's built in here as well. And you can also assess somebody's performance based on running quizzes that are in here. So essentially the coach, if you look at it, is akin to a sports coach. It tracks what I'm doing. It helps me perform better. it's highly personalized because it knows how I've done in the past, where I am today, where I'm running short, what is it I need to do in order to improve, and most important, how does it motivate me to do better? So that's essentially what our product really is. I'll pause here. I think we'll run a quick poll. Then I'm happy to take any questions that are there.
Absolutely, Ramesh. It's very, very fascinating to hear the implementation of this into sales and other functions. What we will do is we will run a quick poll. We've started to get questions as well. So let's run the second poll, please. Let's get some reactions from everyone. And once we have, we will also share it. Ramesh, you could also reflect on the results, and then we'll take up the questions. I can also see an attendee has raised his hand. May I request you to please share your question through the Q&A module? That will be better for us, so that we can address all your questions. Just waiting for everyone to, or almost everyone. I mean, whoever wants to give a response. Maybe Ramesh, you can nudge them to give a response.
Yeah. No, but I see some questions that have already come up, Sandy.
So we have also got the questions. Yes, we will just wait for maybe our last 5 seconds
for the poll.
Just get a quick.
Sure.
Yeah, for the poll, I'm just waiting for that. Okay, we will end the poll. We've got good numbers who've given us the results. So I'm going to share. Yeah, that's where we are. Ramesh.
Okay. Great. Okay. Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, that's excellent. Okay. Now I think it's interesting that, have used behavior coaching, and there are a lot of industries where it's increasingly seen as important. The critical thing, I think, is to be able to digitize it, because at large scale it's hard to do it one-on-one. And typically physical coaching is once in very low frequency, right? You do it once in 6 months or a year. Digital, you have an opportunity to do it all the time, right? And do it on a daily basis. So it's like continuous feedback really that you're able to do as a result of that. So I found that quite interesting.
Fabulous. I'm going to stop sharing, and we will take the questions. We've started to get questions fast, so maybe I'll take the questions. Is your solution a mobile first or mobile platform? And what happens when Amy still doesn't achieve her targets, even after all the nudges and all the changes that? So maybe we'll take that part of the question first.
It's a great question. Yes, it's a mobile first product. It's used in field sales as well as what's called inside sales context. Inside sales is where it's done largely on phone, where obviously mobile phones are not allowed, but they use a desktop. But it's a mobile product first product, so that's the way it's used. What happens when Amy does? This is actually quite common, right? It's not that I actually meet my target. So if I go back into our fitness thing, I mean, I may say I want to lose 10 kgs, for example, right? And I may not meet it in a quarter. But what's important for me is that I'm progressing towards it. Because for me, it's about saying I'm getting better and I'm progressing as I'm really going. Now, what happens if even then progress doesn't take place, which I'm guessing is what your question is, right? Very often then, it's a question of one of two things. Either I don't have enough knowledge, or I'm ignorant about certain things I need to do. In which case, the link that I showed you, right? It throws up then to my manager saying, listen, Ramesh is trying, is not able to do, and probably needs to be trained on either product or sales process or whatever. So that therefore helps me through that intervention to get a little better and progress from there, because clearly the application can see that I'm trying. It's natural in terms of the engagement that you can see with it. So there are different levels at which it's able to trigger to my superiors or to my hierarchy, saying what can they do to help me do better. It can also trigger to my, let's say, first line supervisor saying, it may be good for you to personally mentor Ramesh for a period of time. Go on joint sales calls in order to help him do better. So then my supervisor knows saying, okay, this guy is trying, not able to, maybe I need to actually mentor him a little bit more. So that's what it actually does by seeing how it can help me therefore do better. It does not judge me. The good thing about digital is it's not like a person, because I don't see it as being judged, right? I see it as saying something is trying to help me and trying to find different ways to help me. But I don't feel bad because I don't feel judged in any sense. I think that's the advantage.
Brilliant answer on that, Ramesh, and that gives leads me to another question around the same point. Did you find resistance to use this app amongst 80,000 users that you have currently?
Yeah, I think Shobhit does.
Because
Shobhit,
perhaps asking the workforce to install on them. So yeah.
So I think Shobhit, that's a brilliant question. If you think about all enterprise technology products, right? Any of them, take a CRM, ERP, Salesforce automation, it doesn't matter which one you take. If you think about it, all of them are top-down, meaning someone at the top, as you go higher up, you get more and more value out of it. As you go lower down, they have to do more and more work on it. So if you take a CRM, it's the field salesperson who has to enter all the data. Somebody higher up gains out of it, right? So they are all top-down systems where the benefit to the user is inversely proportional to the work they do, right? Our app is exactly the opposite. At the lowest level, there is zero work that the person does. And the intention is, and it's been developed purposely like that from a behavioral standpoint that says, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to police you. I'm going to help you. So the nudge that I get, my supervisor does not see. It's private. It's meant only for me, right? My supervisor can see my performance because they can see it on a number of different ways. What they will get is a nudge that says, how can they help me? But they will not see what I get. So from my standpoint, this is something that helps me personally. Nothing, but it's helping me on a daily basis. And as you kind of do better, you feel, this makes even more sense for me, because if I follow what it does, I tend to do better. And so in that sense, it's like a virtuous cycle that really goes. The second part of your question, it's today meant for sales and back office operations. So we have it for a lot of back office operations that are there in BPOs and BPMs. We don't have it today for software development and tech leads and so on. It's not there for that, because the level of data on a daily basis that's required for that is not there. And we haven't used it for that use case. So our two use cases are sales, either field or inside sales, and back office operations. So those are the two.
Fabulous. Ramesh, how does your platform gather the input data?
Yeah. So basically our product integrates to, if it's field sales, it integrates to a CRM. So if let's say you're on Salesforce, SFDC, our product actually sits inside SFDC. It's not a separate product that sits somewhere else. It's a product that resides inside SFDC. I'm a sales guy who uses salesforce.com. I open my SFDC and our product is within that, right? It takes the data from SFDC, therefore, on a daily basis. So I don't enter any data. My performance data anyway is there in SFDC. It integrates with that and takes it.
Awesome. Where does this data reside? Is it on cloud, or is it, how does it from a security standpoint also, because different geographies has different security requirements, privacy requirements as well?
Correct. It resides on the cloud. It's a private cloud for every enterprise. So for every client customer, it's a private cloud. It resides on the cloud. And obviously we have all the security protocols built around that to satisfy financial services companies, multinationals, pharma companies, all of that are in.
Fabulous. Can this platform be linked to the incentives platform or a performance management platform?
Brilliant question. Answer is yes. Different clients do it to different extents. Some of them directly link it to the incentive and as well as other R&R or reward and recognition mechanisms. Some of them keep the two separate. Can it be linked? Yes, it can be linked. Your individual HR systems or HR policies will have to determine saying to what extent you want that done. But yes, it's possible.
Awesome. And that also brings me to another related question in terms of personalization. To what extent is personalization being taken? Age, gender, personal background, etc.?
Zero. We don't take the user's age. We don't take their gender. We don't take any personal background data. All it does is, so, I mean, it's a very nice question because I'll maybe explain it a little bit more in detail. I spoke about saying, how does it kind of understand my behavior pattern, right? I have a nudge coach, it understands my behavior pattern. How does it do that? It does it through what we call observed action. It doesn't know my age, gender, background, nothing. But it says, it sent me this kind of nudge. Have I actually taken action or not taken action? So over a period, it learns what types of nudges I respond to, what types I don't respond to. So all it knows about me is saying, this is a black box, but this black box responds to these types of nudges and not to others. Therefore, the advantage is it doesn't generalize, right? Based on saying this type of whatever, either gender, region, location, etc. behavior, it doesn't. It says I'm a unique individual and this is what this unique individual responds to. That's how it learns. So the advantage of that is it's very objective. It has no preconceived biases, notions about me, and it doesn't know my intent. So if I intend to make 5 calls tomorrow, but I do only 2, it measures 2. It doesn't measure 5. So intention has no impact. Actual action is what it measures.
I think you've already answered the next question that I wanted to ask, which is how does the AI detect human behavior if you don't put any values or performance details in the app?
Correct. So I'll expand on. It's a good question. So I'll expand that a little bit. So basically, what it does is, in behavioral science, they say all of us have many different what they call biases or heuristic. That's a tech term, but essentially, what it means is we all respond to different types of motivations. All of us, right? But we do it to different degrees. So, for example, I may be someone who, for whatever reason, is more driven by incentive and reward at this point of time, right? So that's what I respond to. Somebody else may respond to saying, look, incentive reward is great, but that's a given. I want career growth. I want to do better than my team because I want to kind of get to, let's say, an RM level in 3 years, some such. Right? Another person may well say, look, I just want to make sure I get better and better. I want to be the best in the company at what I'm doing. So each of us has different motivations. So the nudge also tries to understand what that motivation. So for me, it will tell me saying, if I do something, what are the kind of incentive I can earn out of it, or how much will I lose if I don't do it, right? For someone else, it will say, you're doing better than your peers or you're doing worse off and so on. So it uses these different things to try and see which of those actually generates action from, and to what extent is that action. It learns. That's how it learns what is my behavior pattern. That is, what are the types of nudges I respond to, what are the types I don't respond. That's how it actually learns.
Awesome. We're continuing to get a lot of questions around this. So, but unfortunately, we can't take all. But it's our commitment to everyone that the Workzogo team will provide a written response to those questions at a later point in time. So none of the questions will go unanswered. However, I'll still take a couple of more questions as we are getting. Can you set personal targets when the individual set personal targets, just like what you do in an Apple Watch, for example?
So actually, all companies give every individual a target anyway. But what some of the nudges also allow you to do is to set your own personal short-term goal within that target. right? And commit yourself saying, yeah, okay, I think I'll try and do this much for myself. I mentioned that briefly earlier as commitment. So that is possible for a user to do, saying, okay, I may be told saying my target is 80, well, I'll try and hit 90 this time, right? For whatever reason, I could have an accelerated incentive, but I'll say, look, I'll aim for 90. You can do that, and therefore aim for that yourself.
Got it. Got it. What's the entry level? I mean, is there a scale issue for the platform that at a minimum these many number of users, only then it will become more beneficial? So number of people, number of types of, or what kinds of CRMs it will work against, and things like that. So what is the entry barriers that we're talking about here for your platform?
So it does require a certain minimum for it to make sense, to be honest, right? So let's say you have 5 salespeople. I mean, as an extreme case, you don't need tech because you can have someone managing 5 people and understanding them well. But when you cross the 7,500, then it's hard to personalize it for everyone, right? So our largest single customer is 26,000 users. 26,000 salespeople is our single largest one. But we typically have from 100 upwards, because that's when it really begins to, at scale is where it makes a difference, because you can't do that at a personal level.
Got it. Got it. And what's your pricing model? I mean, I don't want you to give an actual number, but what's the commercial model that you work with the companies?
It's a SaaS product, so it's per user per month. In chunks of users, so it's per product. Let's say for every 500 users, but it's per user per month. So there's a small one-time implementation fee, which is really for integration and nothing else. There's no, you don't buy a license and so on. It's as per usage, so it's a pure SaaS product.
Awesome. I think we will take a pause as far as this is concerned. As I said, we will answer the questions even though they're still coming in. But Ramesh, incredibly useful, amazing platform. You've seen the response that we're getting from the audience overall as well. So there is we will get more objective feedback with the poll coming on your screens at this point in time. May I request the team to run a poll so that we objectively get, understand the next steps, please. Thank you. So as you are all providing your feedback, Ramesh, thank you very much once again, incredibly useful. For the audience, thank you very much for the interactivity. We love your interactions, we love your polls, so keep that coming in. Just as a reminder to you, to all of you who are attending, we have our last session of our DeepTech Innovation Week coming up just after this in the next 10 minutes. Please do join micro-learning, onboarding using a mobile platform, and we will internet connection issue. So if I'm not for that, Ramesh, are you able to hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, because I'm getting intermittent connection issues here at my end. Thank you, everyone. I think we've got everyone. We've got the responses in. So thank you very much. Thank you, Ramesh.
Thanks everyone.
All the best.
Yeah, thanks everyone. It's been a delight interacting. I think I loved some of the questions. So thanks for the interaction, and have a good weekend.
We still have a few which are unanswered. We still have a few which are unanswered, Ramesh.
We'll answer all of them and send them back, be assured.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. I will wait for you in the next 10 minutes in another session. Thank you.
Thanks. Cheers, Sandy. And thanks, everyone. Bye.